KILR Killer Game.
Hello gamers, simmers, and pilots. I am the Killer Gamer, and welcome back to the tour around the world featuring Flight Simulator 2 by Sublogic for the Commodore 64. Well, as you know, we are in Scenery Disc number 11 now. This is our second Scenery Disc so far on this tour. Very exciting. That we've gone this far, and for those of you who've been here since the beginning, this is exciting stuff. And we have an exciting flight here. I've had a viewer out there that has asked me in the past if we're going to be flying to this particular city, and now's the time. So let's go ahead and talk about our flight. So here we are, Sublogic Scenery Disc number 11. We're right here at Toledo Express, and we are heading right here to Detroit, Metro Wayne County. That is our next flight that we're going to be doing here. So how are we going to get there? Shouldn't be too hard. As a matter of fact, we can just do a VFR flight, I think. We'll head off at a heading of, I don't know. Let's see. I'd say, I don't know, 060. That should take us right here to the edge of Lake Erie. And we can go along the coast and come right up here. Detroit, Metro Wayne. You can't see all of it here. It's kind of cut off on the left. But there is an ATIS, and there is an ILS, runway 27. So we don't have many ILS runways on the Sublogic Scenery Disc. So whenever one comes up, I like to take advantage of it. And that actually is perfect, because with us coming up along the coast here, we'll be coming up here and around here, and that's perfect, because that's going to be the direction that we'd want to go in order to land. Let's go ahead and get ready to go to Detroit. We'll go ahead and get everything started here. All aboard, everyone! We're in a Piper. Should have plenty of room in the back. Strap yourselves in. Let's get ready to go. We got a runway right up here. We're going to turn to the right. Left. My military left. That's what they used to say when I was in the Army. No, your military left. Your military right. We're going to head to the end of the runway here. We'll turn around and we'll take off. Whoop. And let's not bring the throttle up that high. Welcome back, RP. By the way, your comment really touches me. I like I mentioned before, I love to touch people in a positive way, and to hear that I can be an inspiration is just awesome. That's just an awesome thing to be able to hear. And I've had other people that I know there is a Commodore Amiga fan out there who was inspired to kind of work a little bit more with Flight Simulator 2 for the Commodore Amiga, which we also do. We are also doing the same flights that we're doing here on the Commodore 64. We are also doing on the Commodore Amiga. Mostly, unfortunately, they did not release all of these Sublogic discs for the Commodore Amiga. Here's the irony of the whole thing. The Commodore 64, okay, let's say in general, when it comes... Oh, jeez. Wrong thing. When it comes to the Sublogic discs and the coverage of the United States, there is not complete coverage. Disc number 8 and disc number 10 were never made. Disc number 8 is around the Montana area and Minnesota. Disc number 10, or it might be the other way around. The other one was around Louisiana, Baton Rouge. Those areas were not done. So keep that in mind, because these scenery discs work for Flight Simulator 2, 3, and 4, as well as the Commodore 64 and the Commodore Amiga. Now, with that in mind, the Commodore 64 has all of the scenery discs except for scenery disc number 12. Number 12 was not made for the Commodore 64. That covers New York and up to Maine. However, the Commodore Amiga does have scenery disc 12, but it doesn't have scenery discs 1 through 6, which is the western part of the U.S. So, yeah. So we're pretty much, the tour that we're doing is heading east for the most part. We'll be heading to the East Coast. We'll be going over to Western Europe. We'll come back and finish up the East, and then we'll be heading over to the West. And the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2 as well as 3 will be following us. Unfortunately, the Commodore Amiga will not be able to do that, although they'll be able to catch up with us in regards to Seattle, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, because 2 are part of the default scenery and 1 was detailed scenery, basically the San Francisco area that was done. Now you notice that I didn't mention Flight Simulator 4. The reason is Flight Simulator 4 has the ability for custom content. So we have the ability to actually go across the world with that one. So it's heading in a different direction, and Flight Simulators 5 all the way up are following that same flight plan. So the later simulators, Flight Simulator 4 on up, and this would even include X-Plane 5 and on up because they got world coverage, they will actually travel the whole world. And, well, the early ones will do what they can. Gives you a little bit of insight into my madness. as far as what it is that I'm doing. Oh, we're heading in the direction of 270. That's the opposite direction that I want to go. Oh, that's okay. We'll go ahead and take off from runway 27 then, or runway 25 actually. I have to adjust the gyro compass, match it up with the magnetic compass. There we go! We are airborne, folks. So this is good. Let's go this way. We're going to, well, first we're going to look behind, and we're going to wave goodbye to Toledo. That is our that's our tradition. We wave goodbye to the places that we visit, because you never know. We may have a viewer in the KILR community from Toledo, Ohio. You know, so we want to say, hey, thanks for watching. I hope hope they're with us still. But in case we happen to go to someone's hometown, it's like, hey. All right, so let's make a left turn here. And my flaps are down. That's not good. Let's get those up. Whoa. Where were we? Okay, we're making a left turn. We're going to intersect with the Maumee River. And then we're going to take that northeast to Lake Erie. And we'll be flying along the coast. And all the way up to Detroit. And we're going to go ahead and tune in a couple of VORs here. One is going to be Windsor. We're going to set that to a vector of 270, because that will come close to lining up with runway 27 at Detroit. But we're also going to tune in the frequency for the ILS. Because, as we stated on the Sublogic scenery discs, there are not many runways that have an ILS. So whenever there's an ILS, I like to take advantage of that. Because I figure you folks would like to see some ILS landings. So yeah, we're gonna do that there. So let's tune in Windsor. You'll see nav2 right down here. There we go, 113.8. Doesn't look like we're getting a signal just yet. And then Detroit, ILS is 108.5. So we'll get that tuned in also. And we'll also get the VORs tuned in. Well, not tuned in, but, you know, at the correct vector. So they should be both set at 270. Okay, so all of these roads and stuff that we're seeing is Toledo, Ohio. We're seeing some brown sticks here. Those are supposed to resemble buildings. As we get closer, they might turn into an actual rectangular building, or it just might stay. It might just stay as a stick. But with the old simulator, you know, we have to use our imagination here. And that was another motivation for me to want to start the World Tour series with the Commodore 64. Because I remember back when I was a young lad in my teenage years, you know, that I was really excited about flying this old simulator going from city to city, and, well, you know, I had to use my imagination when it came to the scenery. And this is the best that we had at the time. I didn't think I would ever see a simulator that was going to look like Flight Sim 2020. I was amazed when FS9 came out. When FS9 came out, I was like, oh wow, this is what I've been waiting for. Puffy clouds, you know, clouds that look like clouds. A transponder that actually does something. ATC built in, where you could, you know, go from, use it anywhere around the world. Awesome scenery. Yeah, I fell in love with FS9. And Flight Sim 2020 is another wow simulator in my life. Once they get to the point where they have got VR working with Flight Sim 2020, that's going to be the closest I'm ever going to be to being a pilot. I wanted to be a pilot. Finances just would not allow it. Perhaps if I had gone into the Air Force and not the Army, I may have had a better chance of being a pilot. I also have a thing about heights. It's not so much the height that bothers me. It's the falling part that bothers me. Because I can go up in a plane. Kind of. But see, I have a very active imagination. I had some, there was an anniversary that my wife and I spent together, and we went up into a helicopter to do a visual tour. Oh, yeah, that kind of got me there, because the helicopter's small, and I could visualize that we were only in this tiny little metal thing, and the ground was way, way down below, you know. It was almost as if I could see through the helicopter and see that I was being held up in the air by something that could fail at any moment, which I know is true of just about anything, but would that be the same case if I tried to become a pilot? Would I feel the same way in a Cessna? Or would I be excited enough that I wouldn't worry about it? I don't know. But one thing I do know is that being a virtual pilot is going to take a lot of stress and anxiety off of my wife, because she knows that even if I have a bad experience, or if I were to, crash, she knows that I'll still, I'll be fine. I'll be able to walk away from it because it's virtual. But there are pilots that are not so lucky. Yeah, you're right about the radiation. You want to know what did it for me? And this is just one of those things that you don't forget, even at a very young age. There is a time where, heights didn't bother me. I was a young kid, and I don't know, 7 years old, I think. My mom was going to college at the time, working on a degree. I think it was during her graduation for her associate's degree, I believe. And, being the kid that I was, there were bleachers that were not being used. And I went to and I went around, and I was like, oh, hey, look, you could climb. So I started climbing the back of the bleachers. And I lost my grip, and I fell and hit the ground. Didn't break anything. But ever since that time, I've had dreams of falling and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's what caused my fear of falling. I think that's where it all started. Oh, I had to adjust the altimeter. We are a lot higher up than I thought. I knew something was wrong when the vertical speed indicator was pointing up and the altimeter was not doing the same thing. Okay, so it looks like the sticks are just going to be sticks, not the rock group. The buildings. We are not going to be sailing away here. We are flying. Come sail away with me. Nah, not the Dynasty Young sticks. The Tommy Shaw sticks. The sticks that rocked. What was their big song? Renegade? I think it was Renegade. Ah, man. That's a rockin' song that'll get you up in the morning. I'd play it, but, copyright reasons. For anyone else that has hopped on board the Piper Archer with us, welcome to the World Tour featuring Sublogic Flight Simulator 2 for the Commodore 64. We are on our way to Detroit, Metro Wayne County. We'll go ahead and catch you all up here. This is Sublogic Scenery Disc number 11. We just departed Toledo. We're flying along the coast here, and I am going to use a highlighter instead. So we came this way, and we are going we are going up like this, and then we'll be landing on runway 27. So that is our little flight plan that we're doing. So Lake Erie is right here. We're flying over it right now. Goes off in that direction there. And Detroit is up ahead. That road along the coast is Interstate 75. So if you are familiar with the Detroit area, you may recognize the scenery that we have. Well, retro scenery. There is a Loop 275 as well. That may not have existed at the time of this simulator. But welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. I do other classic flight sims. I'll rotate through them. But I'm also going to be doing the new Flight Simulator 2020. I'm in the process of repairing my i7 machine, and I have a new graphics card just for it. It's a RTX 2070 Super, because that's super duper. So we're going to have some great Flight Simulator 2020 videos on the channel. Also, too, we have what's called killer points here on the Killer Gamer Twitch channel. What does that mean? Well, the more that you watch, the more points you can earn. And it's free. So you can redeem those points for a variety of different things. Such as requesting flights. So you can redeem a little bit of points and say, hey, I'd like to see a flight done on a particular simulator. There are also, higher up, you can redeem more points to request a flight with a particular simulator from one location to another. And you can have up to 2 hours. A little bit more points will get you 3 hours. So, when it comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, let's say that you don't have the system to be able to play it. You wish you could, but you don't have the system to do it. And you want to see a flight from your hometown. This is where you want to be. You want to be here. You want to follow, and you want to watch to earn those points, because then you can redeem them, and I will do the flight for you. Cool thing, huh? That gets you involved with the channel, so that way, you know, you get to have a little bit of influence there as far as the kinds of stuff that you see here on the Killer Gamer channel. And to add to that, I record most of what I stream, and I turn them into either episodes for things that I'm working on YouTube, or sometimes it's just a separate series. But it'll be there. It'll be dedicated to you, and it'll always be there that you can go back to, and you can rewatch, and you can share it with your friends and say, hey, that's a flight that I requested. So, cool thing. I like to be able to get you all involved on the types of things that you see. And we do more stuff here than just Flight Simulator. So it's not a flight simulation channel, although a lot of it is flight simulation, just because Flight Simulator is my thing. So I hope you'll be part of our KILR community, and hope you'll come often. Looks like I-75 here is breaking off into different roads. Right here, here, and here. I do not know which roads those are, though. I'll go ahead and pull up Google Maps here. So here is I-75. Now, what roads are going off in that direction, I don't really know. Maybe one of them is Loop 275. Or it could be some of these routes coming off of here, like maybe Route 50 out of Monroe. And just for your benefit here, we'll go ahead and bring up the top view, which I like to call a map. So there's Lake Erie there. You can see how those roads are kind of going off there. And we can zoom out further too. That way you can see there, you can see Lake Michigan, Lake Huron. You can see the Great Lakes. So you can see just where we are. Looks like we got a signal here for our ILS. That's good. Oh, yes, this is our ILS over here. 19 miles. We are 19 miles from the airport. And there is an ATIS at Detroit Metro Wayne. There's only 2 airports on this particular map that have an ATIS and an ILS. That's Detroit and Pittsburgh, which we will be going to Pittsburgh eventually. We got a lot of other airports that we're going to be traveling around to. So the ATIS is 124.55. We're going to go ahead and tune that in there. We're going to see what they have to say. If I tune in the right one here. There we go. 124.55. Wayne County Metro information, hotel 2100 Zulu, weather blank. We can add weather, but this simulator is really hard to fly when there's weather, even a little bit of wind. So we're not going to land on runway 3. We're going to land on 27 because it's the ILS runway. I'm going to turn us over to the right. Metro Wayne Airport is pretty much ahead of us. That road's going to lead to it. That's going to take us a little bit too close. We want to give us a little bit of distance so we got room to line up. So we're going to cross this little part here of Lake Erie. Which is a river, and I can't read what it is. It's really hard to read what the name of the river. But we should be able to see Lake St. Clair also. It should be up here. Or that could be what we're seeing over here in the distance. That could be Lake St. Clair also. So you are all part of the World Tour series, which is on the KILR TV YouTube channel. Started 2 years ago. Not the channel, but the series. And you are seeing an episode that won't air for, I think, another 5 months. So you're getting to see all of this months ahead. Great benefit of being here on the KILR Gamer Twitch channel. Not only do you get to see this stuff live and uncut and have the opportunity to interact with me, but you get to see it really early too. Try not to spoil it for people. You won't believe how it ended. Not seeing the airport just yet. Something that I am going to do though, so I'm going to use VOR number 2 and try to get an idea of where we're at here. Okay, not what I wanted. I think I've got to go the opposite direction. Okay, so we're heading a 236 away from Windsor. It gives me somewhat of an idea of where we're at, because the heading of 270 would line up with runway 27. I'm going to try to keep us around 13 to 15 miles away from the airport. And around 3,000 altitude. so that we got plenty of time to capture the ILS and the glide slope. Right now our fuel selector is on the left tank. I'm going to switch it over to the right tank just so we can even out the weight a little bit. I don't know if it was actually figured in on the simulator. I would imagine that it wouldn't be too hard to do, since you can put wind in the simulator, and it will determine if it's turning you right or left, or pushing you faster from behind. So I would imagine that something similar would be programmed into the with the fuel tanks, as far as, you know, you're more heavier on one side than the other and more prone to turn. That means it's loading scenery. And there's the airport. Pretty sure that's it right there. And this appears to be the Lake St. Clair right up here. Now, I mentioned on my i7 machine that I'm getting a couple of hard drives. SSD, I'm getting two 2 terabyte drives. One's for Windows 7, one's for Windows 10. I'm hoping a 2 terabyte drive will be enough for Flight Sim 2020. Maybe to start off with down the road with add-ons and stuff. Who knows? Boy, that airport, yeah, that airport is real close to the river there. Oh, there's another airport. I think that other one is Willow Run. I think this one here is Detroit, Maine, Metro Wayne. know. We got to keep an eye on the DME here. See if it goes down or... No, it's going up. That's odd. Which airport would that be? We're obviously getting closer to it. Maybe that's Detroit City. This could be Detroit City. So we're going to need to... That would make more sense, actually. Looking at the map. Let's go this way. If we fly towards the Detroit City Airport, so the other white thing just might be the city or road or something out there. Okay, according to VOR number 2, we are... That thing's getting away from us there. We're at a heading of 240 away from Windsor, VOR. 270 will get us closely lined up. That looks like we're coming up to it soon, too. Look at that. It went from 240 to 256. So the ILS should become active here. Localizer should become active here relatively shortly. Oh, I just saw it move. Alright, let's get ourselves turned. And let's get ourselves turned quickly. It looks like it's definitely moving quicker than... thought. Ah, I hit the wrong key. Uh-oh. No, 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 no. Get back up. Let's not stall, that's a bad thing. Turn too much. Crap, we need some altitude here. Oh shoot, the mags are off. That's why we're having some troubles. Whenever you go to the edit menu and back, it turns off the magnetos. Kind of a annoying thing. And it's easy. What happened is it's easy to get the keys confused on the keyboard because the ailerons, the elevator, it's all in the center of the keyboard. So R, T, Y, F, G, H, it's all right there in the center. And the E key for the edit is like real close to it. Hello, Fly Low 87. I'm good. RP, do I have a joystick yoke rudder pedals that I use or like? I don't. Eventually, I'd like to get some. I would not use anything for this particular simulator. Trying to fly it with a joystick, I tried that on a real Commodore 64 back in the day, and did not work out very well. This one works better with a keyboard, for me anyway. We're not going to intercept that localizer if I'm not at the right heading. Manfonia! Is this an alien sound in the background? No, it sounds more like a helicopter, especially when it's idling on the ground. It's like yeah. Just wait until we land, and I get it stopped. It's going to sound like it'll sound like a helicopter. I was getting close to lined up with the ILS, and then the plane got away from me. Okay, there goes the localizer again. So yeah, the rudder keys is the C and the M, which is right next to the keys for the trim up and and flap. So you can see that if I don't have my fingers on the right keys, it's going to hit the wrong control and it's going to go all over the place. So I got to be very mindful of the keys. Here's an interesting observation. The Commodore 64 should perform better than an actual PC of the day, but I've noticed that the frame rate on Microsoft Flight Simulator 1 and 2, for that matter, is better than this. No, actually, Monfoya Commodore 64 did have some good sounds. Um, there is something what's called a SID chip. And so the music that was done with the Commodore 64, maybe not sound effects, but the music was quite unique and kind of cool. So if you do an internet search on SID, S-I-D, like SID chip music, you should be able to find some Commodore 64 stuff. And it sounds great. It's very retro. I forget, what do they call it? Chip music? Something like that. We are 6 miles from the airport. I think it's time to drop some flaps. Get ourselves slowed down here. That's not stall. That's the outer marker. I'm having a little bit of a challenge here. Come on, girl. Response time on this is not the greatest. But this is the first flight simulator that I flew back in the day. This is where I start using the rudder. Gotta remember my training. John, hey, good to see ya. Fly low, butter it. I'll do my best. That is not an easy thing on a Commodore 64. I'll try not to turn into melted butter. Funya, I agree. My family had a Commodore 64 when I was a kid, when I was a young lad. And this is my grandfather at the time had this, and that's what really intrigued me, and so we got it for ours, and I loved it, and got the Sublogic scenery discs, and I flew from city to city. And so all of my basic flight skills were learned right here. So VOR navigation, Capturing the ILS. I learned all my basic flying techniques right here. That ILS doesn't seem to be lining us up perfectly with the runway, does it? That was the thing, though, with this particular simulator, is that it was really hard to determine if you were lined up or not because of the way the graphics kind of wiggle off to the side. They wiggle this way, they wiggle that way. When you think you're lined up, you're actually not. Glide slope is a little bit lower than what we are right now. Got it. So remember what I said, that the idling sounds like a helicopter? All right, do we have any taxiways here? Let's take a look. No. That's interesting. I was expecting Detroit to have some taxiways. It should have a fuel box, though. Where's the fuel box? Fly low, it was both. The Commodore 64 was an affordable computer. It was a bread box, pretty much. Everything was in the keyboard itself, and you just hooked it up to a television. It had a cartridge slot on it, so you could plug cartridges in there and play games, or you could use it as a computer. With a word processor. It also had basic programming language. I remember writing my own adventure game in BASIC. The Commodore 64 was a popular... Actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was the most sold computer I think of all time. And then there was the Commodore Amiga. That was my first PC personal computer that I paid for with my own money. So the Commodore 64 was our family computer. The Commodore Amiga 500 was my first one, my personal one. And of course, I got Flight Simulator for it when it came out. Or I bought it day one, actually, when I got the Amiga 500. I got deluxe music instruction set for from Electronic Arts back when they were good. Deluxe paint in Flight Simulator 2, which the frame rate was much better. It was easier to land and line up with the runway. Well, I don't see any fuel boxes here, so we'll just go ahead and park. We'll park up here at the intersection of two runways, which is kind of our thing. We're here. Detroit, Michigan. Yeah. Glad that you are here with me. I'm glad you've been following the series, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please leave a like and leave some comments and share with your friends and on social media, because it really helps out. It helps out the series, helps out me, and helps out the channel. Gets the word out there so that way people are aware that this series exists. There's a lot of people out there in the world, and I'm sure there's a lot of Commodore 64 fans that would love to know that this series exists. So hey, help each other out. Let people know. Spread the good word. And talking about good things, subscribing is a great thing, because you get notified of future flight simulation content, if I can say it correctly. You get... I'm dying. You get notified of flight simulation content. And that's a good thing, because that's probably why you're here. Either that or you're a Commodore 64 fan. And, well, that's good too, because I also do some retro stuff on this channel. And I do have some Commodore 64 stuff up on the channel. They're actually old videos from many years ago, but I'm hoping to get some more stuff up too. So yeah, there's more stuff here than just flight simulations. So hope you'll subscribe. It's a good thing. And then something else that you might like is seeing me live stream. I do that over on Twitch. As you probably already noticed with this particular flight, if you follow me over there, you'll get notifications of when I go online. And many times I will live stream the episodes that I'm recording. That gives you a chance to be part of the show. That's pretty cool, isn't it? You get to interact with me, and hey, it makes the flights more entertaining to have that interaction. I'd love to meet you, so head over there and follow me. And then there's Instagram, where I take pictures and photos of projects that I'm working on behind the scenes. Twitter for official KILR news and announcements, retweets of things that I think you might find interesting. Snapchat, just for silly fun once in a while. So if you like Snapchat, I've got an account there. You can follow me there, and once in a while just see some silly, entertaining photo. And then Patreon, for those of you who would like to support the KILR cause, which is the channel, both Twitch and YouTube. It really helps me out and helps the channel. I'm doing a lot of work, and I really want to build this channel up into something special. So any support that you're willing to lend really helps. I can't do this by myself, so the more and more of you out there that are able to help support me on Patreon, the more I'm going to be able to build this channel up into something big, something that we can all be proud of. And there are bonuses and rewards just waiting for you there, so you get something back too. I go above and beyond for my supporters. You get a little something extra. So please go check that out. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next leg of our exciting journey. Have a killer awesome day.